Flower is the reproductive structure found in flowering plants and is a collection of petals, sepals, stamen, and pistil. Now look at this in a different way. Once upon a time, on a bright sunny day, a pretty flower, shades of yellow and orange, blossomed in a garden with subtle fragrance. And it made me so happy. Moon is the Earth's only proper satellite orbiting around in a regular cyclical phase. Or is it the full moon whose silver light makes way for the two lovers to meet secretly and romance even in the darkness of resistance? Rain is liquid water in the form of droplets that have condensed from water vapor and then become heavy enough to fall under gravity. Or are they tiny droplets falling on the soft palms of a child who is drenched from top to bottom playing in the rain puddle? Flower, moon, rain would all just remain a scientific, pragmatic, logical phenomena, impersonal and devoid of feelings if there were no stories around. What would our life be? Not to feel the softness of petals, not to romanticize the moon, not to relish the rain's petrichor, not yearn for the breeze to dance along, or not sing along with the cuckoo's cry. What would we be? Without feelings, imageries, sensations, emotions, impressions, notions, opinions? What would we be without stories? Stories make up our life. It makes up my life. For as far as I can remember, I have been storytelling. Like making up stories to escape from punishment in school, or cooking up kitty tales and pretty tales with friends over coffee. The romantic late night conversations laced with passion with my life partner, night after night. Telling stories to my little girls on what life is, what it should be, what it is not, and even the narrations at workplace to put across business ideas and sometimes make an excuse to boss too. I have not moved a step ahead without stories. When I was a little kid, I started journaling. I had this secret little diary in which I would pen down my thoughts, sometimes happy, but mostly anger channeled into organized rant. I'd write poems, sonnets, short stories, teenage troubles, a lot of it, and my dreamer, make-believer, breakthrough ideas, which would or would not culminate, I really did not know. I filled up pages after pages, year after year, diaries after diaries, absolutely comfortable with the idea that no one will ever come to know about it, and that the diaries will go with me to my grave. That was my first idea of storytelling, but to myself alone. And then I grew up. I took this massive plunge after beating and hearing my heart several times. As I grew up, I took this massive plunge by daring to share my writings in public. Honestly, it was so difficult to lay the feelings open through and through. Who would listen to these stories? Why at all would readers and listeners want to connect? Maybe I'll get judged. Maybe I'll go unheard. And in the words of Erin Hansen, something within me would ask, what if I fall? And then I'd receive an answer, oh my darling, what if you fly? And I decided to try it with all my honesty. It was this time around that I started storytelling with small groups of children, just a couple of us, for the sake of realizing the power of storytelling. So sometimes we'd be in the group of 5 or 6 or 15. I took stories to book clubs, to underprivileged children who needed it as much as anyone else in the entire world. I took stories to small communities. Sometimes it had the elderly, sometimes it had just the members of a small society. And I published my write-ups in Huffington Post, Times of India, some magazines, newspapers, and also one Times of India Write India campaign for short stories. The voice of a teller refused to rest within me. It was agonizing to share or hold back the untold stories. And then one day, I received a call from India's leading storytelling platform. Well, probably a friend had recommended my name to them, and I recorded my first ever storytelling video for YouTube tape tale. I had been a theatre artist, so I had the sense of stage and spotlight and live audience. With camera, YouTubing, the World Wide Web, are you kidding me? No, I knew nothing. The team, however, managed to pull me out of my closet and put me in the public domain with my first-person singular narrative stories. No laces, no filters, no garnishing, no fiction, just a plain, simple, ordinary, random tale from my ordinary life. In my first story, I bared my heart open on my idea of finding true love. And while I thought, why would anyone be ever willing or have the time to listen to the story of an ordinary person, to my surprise, it was lapped up with a lot of love and appreciation and kindness. The story picked up fast. It was called Ordinary Sa Pyar, Ordinary Love. Few months later, I shared another tale, Kya Tum Khush Ho? Are You Happy Enough? On how I battled life-threatening serious medical condition by undergoing various surgeries, getting punctured with needles and tubes only to find out how beautiful and precious our life is. I shared how my medical condition taught me that this life, this one moment, which we tend to take for granted, is what someone somewhere in the world might be just praying for. The story crossed 3 million views, and people from all across the globe began passing their strength to me to move on. And then I did one story after another, pen tales, recited in public, started my YouTube channel, contributed to podcasts and to All India Radio, reached out to students, schools and colleges, including the IIMs, and took business stories to corporate houses. You know why? Not because it gave me a certain kind of visibility, because that is just a very small byproduct of the process, you see, but because it passed me a magic wand to connect with millions of other lives, walk in their stories, be a part of their plans, pains and pleasures, live their emotions as though we were all made up of the same fabric, crossed, knotted, broken, stitched, patched up together. We are a reflection of each other in a way. These days, almost on a daily basis, I receive tens of personal stories, sometimes over email, messages, chats, handwritten letters and notes too. And these messages sometimes make me cry in their pain, find courage in their grit, weep in their joy, and feel so much of kindness and gratitude. My heart is so full of love now. Absolute strangers we are. We haven't met, we haven't spoken, but then they still trust me. They confide in me, and they have let me walk into their lives. If that is not magical, what is? There are stories which are safe with me, and there are my stories which are safe with them. Well, let me read to you snippets from my magic book, unedited but identity undisclosed. The story one that I received. I'm a mother of 2 sons. The younger is diagnosed with Down syndrome, but he also plays the drum. And every special child has a distinct story. We got the opportunity to collaborate and take the story forward. 2. We belong to a small village where modeling and Instagram is a shameless thing to do. Every day a thought comes to my mind to run away from here and get a new life. I don't have friends to trust on and nobody to share this. You really come across as a ray of hope. What can I say? 3. I'm married, I have a 4-year-old son, my husband and I have major compatibility issues. I want to leave and start from scratch alone. Could you help? 4. I'm a practicing radiation oncologist in AIMS, and I must say that people need to be inspired by the idea of living life to fullest as described by you in your story. And then, I also face a problem like you. ICU, bed, stitches. I hear you. I hear you. 3 words. 3 words which connects the world, and how stories are indeed magical. Anthropologists tell us that stories are recognizable patterns, and in those patterns we find our own meaning. Scientists tell us that stories release certain chemicals like oxytocin, dopamine, and cortisol that stirs up the emotions. But the old grandmothers tell us that once upon a time is all what it takes to create the magic. From gathering around the campfire to binge watching latest Netflix series, from traveling the world to reading books, chronicles have lit up our lives. Tales of chivalry, deception, inspiration, courage, heroism, storytelling is central to our existence. Chord is a harmonic set of pitches, frequencies consisting of multiple notes that are unheard as if sounding simultaneously. Really? Or is a chord what ties you with me, my heart with yours, your feelings with mine, and my emotions with you? Because in the end, we are all nothing but stories in motion. And therefore, hear mine, tell me yours. Let's connect the world with the subtle chord of stories. Happy storytelling.